Alright, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be breaking down the NBA slate for Saturday, February 11th. We got a 7-game slate for this Saturday. There is an early game that starts at 5 o'clock, I believe, but that game's not a part of the main slate, so we're going to skip that game. But yeah, 7 games on this Saturday slate, so let's hop right into it. Alright, starting off at point guard, your most expensive point guard on this slate is Russell Westbrook. He gets a solid matchup at home against Golden State. Steph Curry is not a great defender. This is a terrific matchup for Westbrook. He's definitely in play. He's going to be going up against KD, so you know he's going to come out with a little bit of extra fire. Definitely think Westbrook's in play. I really like him in this matchup. Think he can easily get you 60 with upside of 70 to 80 plus. You got the Greek Freak against the Pacers. He's also in play. He's really had to step up on offense with Jabari Parker out of the lineup. So definitely think the Greek Freak's in play. He gets a solid matchup against the Pacers. They're not great defensively. You got Isaiah Thomas against the Jazz. I'm definitely not going to go there. I think that's a stay away. I would definitely try and find the $3 to pay up for Giannis. Don't think Thomas is in play against Utah. That's a bad matchup, and Thomas is pretty expensive. Steph Curry also is a guy I'm probably going to be fading. I don't like that price tag at $48. That is way too expensive in my opinion. So I'm probably not going to be on Curry for this game, even though it is a solid matchup. I just don't really like that price tag, and he's kind of been cold lately. Kyrie against Denver, that's a terrific matchup. Not really a big fan of Kyrie's price tag either, but he's definitely in play given the matchup. Denver's terrible defensively, and they play up in pace. Eric Bledsoe against Houston, that's a solid matchup as well. Houston plays up in pace. Patrick Beverley is a solid defender, but Bledsoe's price has dropped, so I like him in this up in pace matchup. I think he's in play for tournaments. I don't think I'd use him in cash games because he has been struggling lately. Jeff Teague against Milwaukee, that's a solid matchup. They're not great defensively against the point guard. He's also in play, even though I don't really like that price tag. This is a solid matchup, though, against Milwaukee. Dragic against the Sixers, you can definitely go there. They're not great defensively against the point guard. If you're looking towards the mid-range, I would definitely target George Hill against the Celtics. Isaiah Thomas is one of the worst defenders in the league, and Hill is very cheap at $25. He can easily get you 30 fantasy points in this matchup, so I like George Hill if you're looking to go mid-range. Another guy I like on the cheap end is Patrick Beverley against Phoenix. That's a terrific up-and-pace matchup. Phoenix is terrible defensively, and they play at a fast pace. Beverley is really cheap at only $19. I wouldn't use him in tournaments because he doesn't have much upside, but for cash games, he can easily get you 25 to 30 fantasy points. And he gets a terrific up-and-pace matchup, so I like Beverley. Yogi Ferrell's too expensive in my opinion, even though he gets a solid matchup against Orlando. I can't pay that price tag for Yogi Ferrell. Jameer Nelson has been starting with Emmanuel Mudiay out of the lineup. If Mudiay misses this game, you can definitely look towards Nelson for value. He gets a solid matchup against the Cavs. Kyrie Irving's not a great defender, so you can definitely look towards Jameer Nelson if Mudiay doesn't play. And that's it for all the point guards. Let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. At the top of the shooting guard list, you got James Harden. He gets a terrific matchup at home against Phoenix. He is also in play. It's going to be pretty hard to fit Harden and Westbrook in on the slate, so you're going to have to choose one. If I had to pick one, I would probably go Harden. He just gets a better matchup at home against Phoenix. Phoenix is terrible defensively, but I really like Westbrook as well. I think they're both terrific plays. You got Devin Booker against Houston. That's a terrific matchup. James Harden is not a great defender. I'm not really a big fan of Booker's price. I think he's a little overpriced, but he definitely has upside for tournaments. When his shots fall, and he can put up to 40 to 50 fantasy points, so I like him for tournaments. Probably wouldn't use him in cash games, though, just because of that price tag. Klay Thompson against OKC, that's a pretty solid matchup. OKC isn't great against a shooting guard, so you can definitely look towards Thompson. His price has decreased. Victor Oladipo is still way too cheap at only $22. He gets a solid matchup against Golden State. Solid up-and-pace matchup. Definitely like Oladipo at the mid-range. He's just been crushing value lately, and his price hasn't reflected on that, so you can look towards Oladipo at the mid-range. I think he's a terrific play. Seth Curry's kind of too expensive in my opinion. Don't think I'm going to go there. I would just take Oladipo over him. Will Barton has been playing heavy minutes with Kenneth Faried and Gallinari out of the lineup. He gets a solid matchup against the Cavs. If Faried and Gallinari don't play in this game, you can look towards Barton at the mid-range. Like I said, he's been playing heavy minutes with them out of the lineup, and he will continue to do so if they do not play. So I like Barton at the mid-range if Faried and Gallinari do not play. And that's pretty much it for all the shooting guards. Let's go ahead and move on to small forward. Right at the top of the small forward list, you got LeBron against Denver. That's a terrific matchup. Denver's not great defensively, and they play up in pace. You can definitely look towards LeBron for cash games. He'll always get the job done. He plays heavy minutes. He should easily be able to get you 50 fantasy points in this matchup, so I like LeBron for cash games. For tournaments, though, I'm definitely going to look towards the guy under him, and that's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant gets the best narrative of this slate. He's going up against his former team back in OKC. This is Durant's first time playing in OKC since he left to Golden State. In the 2 games that KD played against OKC, he's absolutely crushed them. He's put up 52 and 66 fantasy points. Durant could possibly be one of the highest owned players just based on that narrative. You know he's going to show up to that stadium with a little extra fire. He's going to be chucking shots. I really like Durant for tournaments. I think he has over 70 fantasy point upside for this matchup. For cash games, I would go to LeBron, but both of them are very solid plays. But KD's upside is through the roof for this matchup. You know he's going to come out firing, so I definitely think KD is a very solid play for tournaments. Even though he might be highly owned, he has crazy upside in this matchup against his former team. Paul George against Milwaukee, that's a solid matchup. They're not great defensively. You can look towards George. I'd probably just try and pay up and get LeBron or KD, but you can look towards George if you're wanting to go down. Gordon Hayward against Boston, that's a solid matchup as well. Not really a big fan of Hayward's price tag, but he's in play. That's a solid matchup. If Jay Crowder plays, I don't think you have to use him. He's $27, which is way too expensive, and he gets a bad matchup. So I don't think Crowder's in play. Wilson Chandler is a guy I want to touch on here. He is $26, which is kind of expensive, but he's been crushing value with that price tag. He's played heavy minutes, and he's done very well with Gallinari and Farid out of the lineup. He will most likely be guarded by LeBron in this game if he starts, and I don't really like that matchup. LeBron's a pretty solid defender. But if Chandler plays the heavy minutes, he can easily hit value with that price tag. But make sure Gallinari and Farid do not play before you plug in Chandler. I don't think he's in play if Gallinari and Farid are in, but if they're out, you can definitely look towards Chandler. Rocco against the Heat, that's a solid matchup, but I don't think I'm going to go there. If you're looking to attack the mid-range, you can definitely look towards this duo of Trevor Ariza and Wesley Matthews. They both get solid up-and-pace matchups. They're both the same price tag. If I had to pick one, I would probably go Ariza for cash games and Matthews for tournaments. Matthews just has more upside just because he takes more shots, but Ariza gets all the peripherals. He'll get you some rebounds, some assists, points, steals. So if you're looking to attack that mid-range, I like Ariza for cash games and Matthews for tournaments. And I think that's it for all the small forwards. Let's go ahead and move on to power forward. All right, your most expensive power forward on the slate is Kevin Love. He gets a solid matchup against Denver. Like I said, they're bad defensively, play up in pace. Love's definitely in play. He's probably the top power forward on the slate. I like this matchup. I like him for cash games and tournaments. He has solid upside in this matchup, and he has a solid floor. But I'm really looking at the guy under him, and that's Draymond Green. Green's price tag is way too cheap at just $34. He probably is going to be a lock in my cash game lineups at that price tag. In yesterday's game against Memphis, he had a triple-double and only scored 4 points, but put up 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. Draymond's just one of those guys. He'll do everything. He'll get you points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Draymond pretty much can do it all. Like I said, he's probably going to be a lock in my cash games at that price tag. This is a solid matchup against OKC. Draymond can just fill the stat sheet, and this is a terrific matchup against OKC, so Draymond's probably going to be locked into my cash game lineup for tonight. Harrison Barnes against Orlando, that's an up-and-pace matchup. You can look towards him if you're wanting to attack that price range. Serge Ibaka against Dallas, that's not a great matchup. Dallas plays at a slow pace. I would definitely try and find the extra dollar and pay up for Barnes. James Johnson against the Sixers, that's a terrific matchup. You can definitely look towards Johnson. He's been really crushing lately. Same goes for Ersan. He's really been crushing lately, and he's pretty cheap. He gets a solid matchup against Miami. You can definitely look towards him. Ryan Anderson's a guy I always mention for tournaments just because when his shot is falling, he can put up over 30, 40 fantasy points. This is a terrific up-and-pace matchup against Phoenix. This could be one of those games where Anderson goes off and has 30 to 40 fantasy points. He also could bust, though, so I would only use him in tournaments. Don't think he's worth it in cash games. Lavoy Allen's a guy we've been targeting for value lately with Thaddeus Young out of the lineup. If you're really wanting to punt at power forward, you can look towards him if he starts with Thaddeus Young out of the lineup. He gets a solid matchup against Milwaukee. You can definitely look towards Allen for value. And with Jabari Parker done for the season, Michael Beasley played 23 minutes in Friday's game and put up 23 fantasy points. You can definitely look towards Beasley with that price tag at only $10. Beasley's one of those guys where if he gets the minutes, he'll put up the fantasy points. So if he gets over 20 minutes in this matchup against Indiana, he can easily hit value. I would definitely look towards him if you're looking for some value at power forward. He's probably going to be where I go. I think that's it for all the power forwards. Let's go ahead and move on to center. Your top center on this slate is Nikola Jokic. He gets a bad matchup against Cleveland. Tristan Thompson is a really good defender. I don't really like Jokic in this matchup, but Jokic has insane upside. He put up 63 fantasy points Friday against the Knicks. Obviously, that's a way better matchup than against Cleveland. But Jokic does have crazy upside, so you can definitely use him in tournaments, but I don't think I'm going to go there in cash games. The guy I would really target, though, for cash games is Hassan Whiteside. He gets a terrific matchup against the Sixers. Joel Embiid is not expected to play in this game, so Whiteside will most likely be guarded by Jahlil Okafor. Whiteside should absolutely dominate that matchup. Jahlil Okafor stands no chance against Whiteside. Whiteside's just way too big. He should absolutely dominate in the boards. This could be one of those games where Whiteside goes off and gets you 20 points and 20 rebounds. I really like Whiteside for cash games and tournaments. He has tremendous upside in this matchup, and he has a very solid floor. If I pay up at center, that's definitely going to be where I go. Rudy Gobert is also in a terrific matchup against Boston. Al Horford is not a great rebounder, and Gobert is one of the best rebounders in the NBA. I don't really like that price tag for Gobert, but he is a solid play for cash games. He always gets the job done. And then on the other side of that game, you got Horford against Utah. Don't think I'm going to go there. I've been really going after Horford with his price down, but his price has jumped up lately. And he gets a bad matchup against Utah, so don't like Horford. Think you can stay away from him. Vooch against Dallas, that's not a great matchup. Dallas does play at a slow pace. But Vooch is one of those guys for cash games. He'll always usually get the job done. I'll just try and pay up for Gobert or Whiteside if I were you, but if you can't afford the salary, you can definitely look towards Vooch. Miles Turner against Milwaukee, that's a solid matchup. I don't think I'm going to go there on this slate. I'll probably pay up for Gobert or Whiteside, but you can definitely look towards Turner. If you're wanting to attack the mid-range, though, I would look towards Steven Adams. He has been playing heavy minutes with Enes Kanter out, and this is a pretty solid matchup against the Warriors. They play up in pace. Adams is a solid play for cash games with just a $21 price tag. He should easily be able to hit value. His upside may be limited for this matchup, so I don't think he's in play for tournaments, but for cash games, you can definitely lock Adams in. He should easily be able to get you 25 to 30 fantasy points, and he should pay off that price tag. If you're wanting to go cheap, you can look towards Tyson Chandler and Clint Capella. They both get terrific matchups. They both have up-and-pace matchups. If I had to choose one, I would probably go with Capella. Also, you got Tristan Thompson against Denver. That's a solid matchup. I don't think the optimal lineup construction is going to be to go cheap at center, but Thompson is definitely in play for tournaments. He'll have some games where he just goes off and puts up 40 fantasy points, and this could be one of those games. Denver's not great defensively, like I said. And Thompson is really cheap at only $14. But the optimal lineup construction is probably going to be to pay up at center, so I don't think you have to use Thompson for cash games, but for tournaments, he's definitely in play. And I think that's it for all the centers. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a lineup I put together. Alright guys, so this is a lineup I built for the NBA slate on Saturday, February 11th. If you guys have any questions, please be sure to leave them down in the comments section and I'll answer them. I really appreciate you guys watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. If you never want to miss out on a video, please be sure to click the bell icon next to my YouTube name and that'll notify you whenever I upload. So if you never want to miss out on a video, please be sure to do that. But anyways, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next video.